It's a lot easier when someone's pitching you.
No one seems to find the time to discover visions lost on their minds, searching and scrolling, avoiding the trolls and wishing for the seconds to start slowing. Reading the news while I drink delicious brews, pick and choose whether to debate this or discover a new food. Rap battles and video games, no reason to wait. Instead I take action, my passions lead to tasks and distraction. A weekly live action attraction, utter satisfaction as you watch my random reactions.
Welcome to Random Reactions, a show where I give my thoughts on news stories from the past week in some random ways. For the next few months, I'm going to be looking at stories on sports, music, food, entertainment, video games, beer, homebrewing, etc. These are all random stories that I choose that caught my eye, with one inevitably leading me to do things you might not have expected. Even I might not have expected it. Jumping right in, let's get right to the rundown here. The Winter Olympics has been underway all week in Beijing, with the competitions producing many nice storylines, with the Italian super duo of Stefania Constantini and Amos Mosaner winning the first mixed doubles curling gold medal for Italy. It's actually the first curling medal for Italy, period. To Canada's Max Perot taking home gold after being diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma and undergoing months of chemotherapy. There's a lot of good that comes from these games, and those are just a couple of the stories this year. Nathan Chen also setting a world record in the short program. That was pretty awesome. But there's also the problems of host countries not really being high on the list for human rights, and China is definitely not an exception, based on an NPR story that came out on February 6th called "No Internet, Bad Food, and Dirty Rooms, Olympic Athletes Struggle in COVID Quarantine," written by Jacqueline Diaz. The story discusses the nightmare conditions of China's quarantine hotels. Athletes have been posting on social media or have spoken out. Some have broken down into tears on Instagram posts, with athletes testing positive for COVID-19 despite the Olympic Village being in a bubble. It makes you wonder if these stringent protocols go a little too far, especially with the culture shock from countries that have a lot more freedom for their citizens. I'm not especially surprised by this, though. Remember Russia's unfinished buildings debacle? Or Brazil hosting despite being surrounded by several poor neighborhoods while all these rich people go to the Olympic Village? Obviously, there were thefts and people being scammed. This is what happens when the IOC decides to let any country host because of money. But at the very least, the Olympic Committee should have stepped up and made sure the athletes were safe and cared for. Nobody likes to see stories like this. The Olympics are supposed to be fun for everyone. You know what else should be fun? Beer, which is the next item on my list. An article on February 1st in the Chicago Tribune, this was actually a column, called "A Beer Writer's Lessons from Dry January and the Non-Alcoholic Beers He'll Keep Drinking." This one caught my eye and put me down a wormhole of articles all over the internet. First of all, can we please stop coming up with names like Dry January and Movember? I mean, seriously, what group of masochists would choose January as a time not to drink alcohol? I'm guessing they don't live in the Midwest and have never experienced a blizzard or a polar vortex. Newsflash, one simply can just not binge drink, but still leave time for the occasional pint or dram. But when it comes to non-alcoholic beer, I actually do have a problem. Sorry, Josh Noel. The problem is that if I don't want alcohol, I go to other drinks such as seltzer water or juice or tea or a root beer. All good choices, by the way. But if I want a beer, I want a beer. And I like the choice of choosing whether I want the 7% Bock or IPA or the 3 to 4% session or sour. A non-alcoholic beer means you are limiting the styles you can have because of the process that you need to do. Makes the beer very bitter. Not to mention that if you brew correctly, the alcohol adds to the taste of the beer. Also, you have to force carbonate to truly make something non-alcoholic. So say goodbye to interesting ways to prime a homebrew, such as using maple syrup, agave, brown sugar, or fruit syrups. But the main point, having a beer, it's supposed to be a little bit of fun. It's supposed to be relaxing at times. It can add to your dinner enjoyment. It can be a nice end to a tough day. And it can just be nice to have one or two on an off day with friends. Now, I know some people cannot drink alcohol because of addictions. No one's talking about that. But my thought to them is beer is delicious, but so are many other non-alcoholic options. Non-alcoholic beer to me is like eating a non-tomato based marinara sauce. If you don't like tomatoes, eat pesto or use an olio, because beet and carrot sauce is not marinara. Just like a non-alcoholic beer isn't really a beer. Stop calling it that. Another thing I like to do while having a delicious brew is listening to music, but there is so much more to the culture of music and eras than just the sounds and lyrics themselves. A great New Yorker story that I found on February 5th reminds me of this. Writer Iozzo gave us some great insight in an article titled, "When Hip Hop Was Young, Suquan photographed the artists whose music would go on to change the world." Suquan is a photographer born to Korean immigrants that was in New York in the 1980s when the rise of hip-hop began. And the photographs gives us amazing looks into people behind the music, with photos of the Beastie Boys, Wu-Tang Clan members, Big Daddy Kane, Sister Soulja, etc. And the photos are different than what you might expect. One is Method Man with his son in 1997. Another is You God doing the dishes, just a simple photo of him doing the dishes. And of course, the reason for the article was for a new book that came out a few months ago by Suquan called Rap is Risen, New York Photographs, 1988 to 2008. It was published November 16th, 2021. The book contains the best of her iconic photos, and as the article says, looking at them makes you realize that Kwan was not a nuisance, but a true documenter of some of the greats before they truly got big. I love the idea of someone getting candid moments, breaking down the barrier of artist and human, and I like to hear about the people who helped change music forever, especially the non-musicians and journalists that were integral to it all. And it is a trip down memory lane for anyone growing up during those years as well. But while all those stories had me checking out the related items throughout the week, there was a series of stories that I became obsessed with. And that topic is my top story of the week, in my eyes. The MLB lockout and how spring training is looking to be delayed. An ESPN article from February 1st called Spring Training Likely to be Delayed After a CBA Meeting Yields No Progress Between MLB and the MLBPA, sources say. Written by Jeff Passan, he states the collective bargaining meeting that day led to no changes in the lockout, with the deal still seeming very far away, and that likely will force the spring training season to be postponed. Pitchers and catchers are due to report next week. That can't happen during a lockout. There are several issues, mostly economic, to why the lockout is happening. A tweet from the MLBPA on February 4th gave more insight on the matter. The statement read, 2 months after implementing their lockout and 2 days after committing to players that a counter proposal would be made, the owners refused to make a counter and instead requested mediation. After consultation with our executive board and taking into account a variety of factors, we have declined this request. The clearest path to a fair and timely agreement is to get back to the table. Players stand ready to negotiate. The mediation that the owners wanted was with the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service, which is an independent government organization. Since then, I found an article that was posted in The Athletic on February 7th. U.S. Labor Secretary offers assistance to help end MLB's lockout. This was by Evan Drelich. The U.S. Labor Secretary, Marty Walsh, offered his assistance to help with the sides to work on an agreement. But while Walsh is not a formal mediator, the article notes that the MLBPA said they want to work with the league without third-party intervention. So I'm not sure that this is even going to happen. So what all these articles mean is that us baseball fans are going to probably have to wait a little longer for the MLB this year. And that hurts a lot. As a White Sox fan, excited after last season's postseason run and the young talent on that team, I was looking forward to the offseason moves that was stolen from us with this lockout. Pitchers and catchers reporting, tied with Valentine's Day with my fiance, of course, is my favorite part of February, the worst month of the year. And that is now delayed most likely. If this goes into March, spring training will be delayed even further, and this could also mean the season gets delayed if things aren't resolved in the next month, because players will have to train and off seasons will have to happen still. It is not what baseball fans want after the pandemic shortened 2020 and fans just being able to get back into the stadiums at full capacity this past summer. But while it is sad to hear of the stalls and the inevitable delays that the 2022 MLB season will have, I'm here to react positively by talking about all the great baseball you can still watch, even if the MLB season gets pushed back. I am talking about amateur, local, town ball baseball, the old school, pure form of the game. In Minnesota, where I live right now, there are over 300 active town ball teams with 3 divisions, Class A, B, and C. For my job, I cover the Champlin Low Gators in the Metro Mini League, which is a Class B amateur league, and the Low Gators right now have a game scheduled for April 24th, so it's coming up pretty soon. Other Metro Mini teams like the Anoka Bucks and Forest Lake have games scheduled for May 1st, and there is still time for more games to be scheduled. Leagues also exist in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. The Wisconsin Baseball Association has many leagues as well with 56 teams. And then there's the Home Talent Baseball League in Wisconsin, which has Sunday and Thursday night leagues. If you love baseball, you will love teams that can have 40-year-old veterans and 20-year-old college players on the same team. Even Florida and Southern California have amateur baseball leagues. So yes, there are ample opportunities for us baseball fans to get our fix regardless of the nonsensical lockout by rich owners unwilling to share revenue. Amateur baseball is just about the game, and it is just as competitive, trust me. Odds are that your state has some sort of an adult town ball league. Just check online, be pleasantly surprised. I believe 40 out of our 50 states here in the United States has one. But alas, even those games are months away. So now I have to pass the time in my fantasy world.
This is what last year's ALDS should have been like. Oh, that's what a healthy Rodon looks like. Invented a new game called Snow Wiffle Ball. Oh, Yaz with a base hit. There you go, Aloy. Got something brewing now. Oh, they're trying to hit you on. What's up with that? Oh, that's called 3-run bomb, baby. Nothing like hitting wiffle balls in the dead of winter. At this point, you got 5 shutout innings by Rodon. You got Yoan Moncada blasting 3-run homers, so I would have definitely liked this result a lot better. I'd count that as a home run. Sit down. He gone. This is actually harder than it looks. Oh, you thought you could run on Yaz? Sit down. There you go. Oh, that's how it's done. This is also a workout chasing these wiffle balls in the snow. Oh, Timmy Anderson making plays. And that should do it, folks. And that's how the ALDS should have been. Should have been White Sox dominating. That's right.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care.
Thanks for watching and following, and remember, random is good. This is a SunDried Tomatoes channel production by Anthony Iozzo. Follow, like, and subscribe, and check out other shows and a video version of the monthly podcast that you can also get audio-only versions most places that podcasts are found.